We're outfitters.
Outfitters.
That's what we do.
Yeah?
Yep.
No doubt. But what they do
What they do
is a call to action. We're able to wear our camo
because they were there.
We love what we do.
What we do,
But we honor
what they do. We're Deer Thugs.
Deer Thugs.
Deer Thugs. Today's
Hunters united for good.
we're Deer Thugs.
Deer Thugs.
Deer Thugs.
Are you?
Are you? Are you?
Mossy Oaks Deer Thugs is brought to you by Walmart. Be sure to look for your Deer Thug gear. Every sale supports the Outdoor Recreation Heritage Fund. Be a hero. Thank a hero.
Section 1, question 12.
What's the best way to keep a deer on a small tract of land?
Everyone's heard the saying, build it and they'll come. When it comes to keeping deer on a small tract, plant it and they will come.
Fred Law, Union Springs, Alabama.
In order to have deer on your property, you must have a constant food source, water, and cover, year-round, not just during hunting season. Mossy Oaks Biologic brand offers a wide variety of seed blends for fall, winter, spring, and summer food plots. Check out a retailer in your area to get a blend or variety tailored for your neck of the woods. And once you've provided this food source, it's crucial on a small tract that you minimize the pressure year-round. The less of an impact you have on your land, the more likely deer are going to remain on it.
I've hunted the last several years with a friend of mine over here.
I came out here with Bob McGlothlin. He's a great friend of mine. I've known him for quite a few years. We've hunted together. We've been on leases together.
We've talked about coming out here to West Texas for the last couple of years.
We just got out here at Mount Hyde Outfitters in Canadian, Texas, and we're really looking forward to this hunt. Just the terrain alone isn't anything near what we're used to hunting, and we're anxious to get out and see where the deer are at.
The day we arrived, we spent several hours driving around checking out the countryside, using binoculars and spot and scope, seeing a lot of deer. Here's a pretty nice one.
Yep.
Coming out of center blue. You get a north wind, that line on the hill there would be just perfect.
Yeah, we'll try to set that in the morning.
Jason felt that this one particular area that we went to would be a good spot to catch him coming out of the alfalfa field the next morning, and he was right.
Mossy Oaks Deer Thugs is brought to you by Ram Truck Brand, Quaker Boy, Weaver Optics, Precision Shooting Equipment, Mossberg, Mossy Oak Native Nurseries, and by Mossy Oak Brand Camo.
Section 1, question 12.
What's the best way to keep a deer on a small tract of land?
Best way to keep deer on your small tract of land is having the three things. You gotta have food, cover, and water.
Charlie O'Brien, the Catch-22 Ranch.
I think it's important to understand those three things you have to keep deer on a small piece. If you only got one or two of them, it might help some, but the most important thing probably would be cover, because that's what they need to bed in. So, if you got that, that's the only thing you got is cover. But you can also, dig a pond somehow if you can get a pond built, and put a little food plot in. Will definitely help you maintain the deer in that real small core area.
This is our first morning in late season whitetail hunt, West Texas with Mountain Hyde Outfitters. We're set up in a transition area between alfalfa field and sand hills with deer bedding.
It's starting to lighten up a little bit where we'll be able to see, possibly be able to see something coming out of the field going to the bedding area here pretty quick. So we're just gonna get ready and watch them and get ready for the day.
When it got light enough to see, we noticed that there were several deer on the alfalfa field, some small buck and doe, and there was one buck that was, he's big, heavy, wide. He wasn't real wide, but he's big, heavy deer, mature deer.
Hey, there's a buck with some doe. They're coming this direction.
We watched them and glassed them as they started heading back toward the bedding area. The good buck was following along behind some doe.
He's coming our direction. We'll let him get a little closer.
As the doe started to cross over the fence, one doe headed back to the right, and the buck kind of took off after her.
They're going to the left. He's following those doe. He's getting in range.
But she turned around and came back. She jumped the fence and the buck crawled under the fence.
I'll have a good broadside shot here in just a minute.
Mossy Oaks Deer Thugs is brought to you by Walmart.
In many parts of the country, early hunting season means warm weather. This calls for some special tactics and some added steps to help control scent. Like any creature, deer will move less when temperatures are high. They will utilize the early morning and late evening hours more than ever. All of us tend to focus our scouting on the food sources in the early part of the year, but don't forget to check water sources when the heat is on. Creeks, ponds, or any fresh water source is a good place to do some looking. When hunting in hot weather, carry your hunting clothes or scent-lock suit along in a plastic bag and change into them once you've arrived at your stand. Take a few minutes to cool down and then put on your outer layer. Wear rubber boots and stalk your way to your stand. Try and pick your way in slowly, avoiding contact with any brush. Be liberal with scent killer and respray often if you can. When the weather is hot, just slow yourself down. Check those overlooked water holes, keep yourself as cool and scent-free as possible.
Save money, live better. Walmart.
They're passing through the fence. I'll have a good broadside shot here in just a minute.
Once our buck got within range, we were waiting for a good broadside shot. We wanted to make a clean kill.
He's got a smaller buck right behind him. I've got to wait till it clears away from that buck. He is within range.
We had a small buck that kind of interfered with it for a little bit, but he got out of the way. We had to wait till our buck could pick his head up, get out behind the sagebrush.
He's clear of that little buck. I'm gonna take the shot. Man, this is exciting. First day in West Texas. Sitting here watching the alfalfa field. Nice shooter, nice buck, nice buck. He finally presented that opportunity and we made a one-shot kill. He dropped on the spot. But look here. I got a broke main beam. We noticed when we've been glassing it, a lot of these deer had, late in the season, had broken antlers. Looks like that would have been a good one. Broken main beam. Let's go find that buck. Man, there he is. Look at those chocolate antlers, would you? Look at the mass on that thing. That is a dandy. That is a dandy. Look at these beams. Good body, big mature deer. This has been a fine hunt in West Texas. We're gonna call Jason and get him to come pick him up and take him back to the house and get some breakfast. Nice deer.
Section 2.
Question 6.
Do you ever hunt in a hard rain?
No.
Yes.
Yes. Not willingly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I used to. Now I'm much smarter.
Mossy Oaks Deer Thugs is brought to you by Lethal, Sheffield Financial, Ozonics, Charlie O Products. Come here, dear. Schwacker Broadheads. And by Mossy Oak Brand Camo.
Section 1. Question 12.
What's the best way to keep a deer on a small tract of land?
Minimize human presence.
Jimmy Riley, Giles Island.
I mean, you got to have food, you've got to have water, and you've got to have cover to hold deer on your property. You got to minimize human presence. You want to keep those deer, especially if you're trying to kill a mature buck. He needs to call this place home. So make sure you've got some food in the form of browse. You need, if you have timber, you need to have good timber management programs to create some briars and stuff for the deer to browse on all day and all night. If you have some openings, you need to be planting food plots. Hopefully you have some type of nut trees or fruit trees. You want food year round, but you got to have water. If you don't have a stream or a river or something like that, you need to build a pond. They need to have a place to go to get some water. But the main thing I think is minimizing human presence on a year-round basis.
We're out here with Mount Hyde Outfitters. It's the evening hunt, the first day of the hunt. We're hunting in West Texas by the Canadian River. We've got a little food plot up here behind us. Bedding areas out here in front of us, and there's a little draw, and they should be moving through this draw here this evening just a little bit. Really anxious about this evening. This looks real good. Just stay with us and we'll see what happens. The first afternoon we were sitting on the side of a sand hill and watching this valley, and in the meantime the does came out of that valley and they came in and came down in front of us, and there was 7 or 8 does down there, and it wasn't too much longer that the bucks that were laying down up on the side of the hill, they got up and started moving, and it was about a half an hour later and all of a sudden they came up through the draw. The one buck was a real nice buck. He was real thick, real nice buck, but he was broken off. And we decided that just wasn't what we was looking for at the time. There's a lot of deer, seeing a lot of bucks, but they're really broken up. We ended the first evening, and it was a great hunt, but all the bucks that we had come in on us, they were all broken.
Call Thug with Ernie Calandrelli.
Hey Ernie, you've hunted all over the country. Is there any region that calling works better in?
Well, there's no doubt it works better in the Midwest. Whether it's the bigger horn-sized deer, the deer get a little bit older, but they just seem a lot more aggressive out there than where I grew up hunting them back in New York. Now, one of the calls that I know that we both like is a Snorweeds. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you run that call at them in the Midwest, they're a lot more responsive to it. They're a lot more aggressive. I mean, but again, you're talking about volume. You got to reach out there and touch them. And a lot of the mouth-blown calls, they work fine if you don't have any wind. You got a little bit of wind, you got to get out there and you got to touch them. And the Snorweeds, the last 3 or 4 years, has just tore them up for me.
Yeah. definitely my favorite call in the Midwest for sure. I mean, it's really working very well for me.
Well, I'm sure it's going to keep on working good because the deer just seem to keep getting bigger and bigger out there.
Very good.
Call Thug is brought to you by Deer Thug Calls, powered by Quaker Boy.
The second morning we got up and the wind had switched to out of the north, and the temperature had dropped. It was in low 30s, high 20s, and we were real anxious to get out there. Jason had wanted us to sit on this one spot. We couldn't sit there unless we had a north wind. So we went out to the extreme east field and we got to sit there this morning.
We're out here with Mount Hyde Outfitters. It's the second morning of the hunt. We're sitting on the east crop field. I think it's going to be a good morning. The weather's broke. The fronts came in and it's colder. Got a bunch of deer out in front of us, so sit tight. We'll see what we can do.
Whenever it got daylight, we had deer. There was does started to come in on us, and as it got lighter, we started having bucks fill in on us.
Here comes the bucks. They're coming into the field out here. There's several of them.
Actually, we were covered up in bucks. Within a half an hour after it got daylight, we were just covered up. We had 12, 15 bucks in front of us.
Oh, here comes a nice one. Oh, that's a nice 8. That's a real pretty deer.
Section 1, question 12.
What's the best way to keep a deer on a small tract of land?
Best way is food, lots of food.
Kevin Burleson, heart of Texas bow hunting.
And then more food and no pressure. You know, it doesn't matter how much food you have on the place. If you're in there all the time on a small tract of land, the deer aren't coming. So those two things together will keep deer on your place.
Section 1, question 12.
What's the best way to keep a deer on a small tract of land?
You know, there's 4 things that you got to do to keep deer on a small tract of land.
Justin Akins, Canadian River Hilton.
And a lot of them are the same things you got to do to keep deer on a big tract of land. You have to have food, water, and a place to shelter, a bedding area. If you're lacking any of those 3 things, there's no way you're going to keep that deer on that tract of land. He's got to leave to survive. If you have all those 3 things, the next thing you have to do is keep very low pressure. That's where your trail cameras and things like that come in. Only go in there when you have to. Be smart when you're hunting. Don't take any unnecessary chances. So if you're lacking any of those 3 things, food, water, or bedding area, work on that over the years. You know, if you can build you a pond, if you can do something to get water in there, plant a food plot, you know, plant trees, get you more bedding area. But without those 3 things, that deer has to leave in low pressure.
And it wasn't 15, 20 minutes later, all of a sudden we look up and we pick the glasses up and...
What's that? Oh, there's a good one. That's a good one. That's a shooter.
And he came in hard. He came in on the field. He started eating.
Yeah, we'll take him. That's a good 8. He's coming right in.
When he turned and started going away,
We'll have to wait for him to turn broadside.
and he finally stopped and turned, he gave us a shot.
All right, he's down. Good deer, good deer.
The hunt was fantastic. Mount Hyde Outfitters is just a terrific outfit. All right. That is a great deer. This is great. This is fantastic. I had a great time out here. Let's see what we can do. Let's give Jason a call and see if we can get some help with this big old boy. I'm really happy. It's an exciting hunt.
Bow Thug with Blake Shelby.
Explain PSE's preloaded limbs and what that means.
Well, we call it the X-Force technology. It's that heavily preloaded pass parallel limb. And to be honest with you, it's probably the biggest advancement in archery in the past 20 years, because not only did it give us a tremendous amount of speed, but by having those limbs pass parallel, always working against each other and under a lot of pressure load like that, it totally eliminates vibration, because those limbs, once they expand, they're still under tension, and it doesn't allow that string to sit there and oscillate. So it gives you a ton of speed, really quiet, and extremely shootable. I'm really proud of that design, and I think that's why you're seeing most bows looking a lot like X-Forces today.
I heard that. They're awful sweet to shoot, and I love them. Lightning fast, too.
Great.
BowThug is brought to you by PSE, Experience Performance.